Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Coach IT. I trust that you've had a great week. I trust that you've been amazing and it's been an awesome week. So today on Conversations with Coach IT, we have a very, I know I say special every week, but she's extra special. She's my special. Why are you blushing?
I just
Yeah,
have to.
we have a very special person. Yeah, she's a special kind of this is kind of special, right? And she's one young person doing so many amazing things, right? And she's going to be sharing some of them with us shortly. And today we're just going to be having that conversation around certain challenges that she had as a teenager into young adulthood, and how she overcame those challenges, which are common challenges that many people face. So thank you so much, Jemimah, for joining us. How are you
It's
today?
a pleasure. I'm very well, thank you. And how are you too?
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, so Jemimah, talk as a way of opening up this episode, right? Talk to us, about what you do. Like, just say a bit of what you do. Um, I'm especially fascinated, about the fact that you're a young person in your early 20s doing such, amazing work, phenomenal work. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit about, the things that you do. I know that I usually wait till the end of the episode, but really just, open the floor by telling us some of the things that you do.
Okay, thank you so much, Coach IT, for having me on this show. It's really, really a pleasure. So I am Jemimah Amonahini, yes, and I work as a professional writer where I help visionaries convert their ideas from seed form to paperback or e-copies via publishing. I also am a teens coach, right, with a community of young teenagers, young adults and teenagers, where I coach them on personal development and 21st century skills acquisition. I'm also the president of Unlock Academy, a productivity hub for young people and women, where we help them unlock their inner energy and get better and better.
Come
So
on now.
I'm also an author. I'm also an author in the space, and it's really amazing. These are the
Mm.
things I do. Thank you.
Winton.
Yes, Winton faculty.
Yeah,
Thank
there's also Winton faculty, and I am just so proud. I'm just so proud of
you.
the amazing work that you're doing. In case I don't
Thank
say enough, and I'm
you.
saying it now publicly, I'm so proud of you. Well done, girl. Well done.
Thank
And
you. Thank you so
I'm
much.
so excited that I want people to have an idea of how old you are. So that when I say young,
Mm.
they know how young this young is. I don't know how young to be. Maybe use age range or just say it, or I don't know. But can you
Hmm.
just give people a feel of how young or how old is Jemimah? The
Hey
Jemimah doing
God.
all the amazing things.
Hey, I'm in my mid-20s.
Mid 20s, right? She has not even
Yes.
crossed the. You have not even crossed the
No,
mid.
I mean, I'm not crossed the mid. Yes, I'm just right in the mid. So you just have to figure out what that means.
That is just so good. That is so good, Jemima. Well done, well done. So my first question would be: have you always known that this is the path that you were going to do? Have you always known that this is the person that you were going to grow up into, and you're going to be doing all this amazing stuff and at at a young age? Yeah. So has it always been that for you? Have you always known since you were young? Were there pointers? Were there, what was it like for you, your upbringing and your journey into education?
Okay, thank you so much for this question. I think this is something I really like to talk about, especially when I talk to people of my kind. And by people of my kind, I mean those who grew up in rural communities or in communities where people don't expect any good thing to come out of your Nazareth. I'm talking about communities like Ikotun, Ajegunle, all those deeper parts of Lagos,
We have
Nigeria.
foreign listeners, James. So help them. Help
Okay, so this
them.
is in Lagos, Nigeria, like the slums part of Nigeria. And for me, I'd say I did not, I couldn't figure out that specifically this is where I was going to be in my journey. But I always knew that whatever my life would turn out to be, it was going to be different from the norm. So as I was growing up as a child, I asked questions, I recognized wrong patterns, and I told myself, this is not going to be my life. So whenever I saw something going off from what I saw in my future, I did my best to to walk in the opposite direction. And so that was when most of my mates were already indulging in pornography and in some other vices. I knew I don't want to get where this will end. So I would just go in the opposite direction. So even though I did not know that I would be doing the kind of things I am doing right now, I somehow always knew that I wasn't going to have those kind of results. And yes, I can see that when I look back now, somehow they have added up. They have added up, and I can say that really, if you set your heart to excellence, excellence is what you will find.
Mm. So whatever you set your heart to is what you will get at the end of the day, right? That was
Yes,
just
it
so
is.
good. Well done. And one thing that I've heard from what you just said is that from a very young age, you add you put in focus the picture of the kind of future that you wanted, right? I do not mean to
Yes.
sound, like aspire to conspire, but yes, a picture of the future, right? You
Yes.
had that in front of you, and you just had that vision of the kind of life that you would like
Mm.
to live, and you were determined enough to start making decisions from a very
Yes.
young age, decisions that would favor that picture that you have in your heart, right? And
Yes.
so yes, that was so good. But I know that also, I know that upbringing also for you couldn't have been without its challenges, right? Couldn't have been without
Mm-hmm.
its challenges and things that you sort of faced, maybe things that maybe made you stronger, things that formed your character, just things that expanded your capacity and just those sort of different experiences. So do you want to share, any of these experiences with us, like experiences that stood out for you while you were growing up, or experiences that really shaped the kind of person that you've become today, whether at teenagehood, and it also be good that you give us like within the age range that maybe some of these challenges happened and how you sort of overcame them. So what were the challenges?
Okay. Yes, there were challenges. Yes, there were challenges, and I'll just quickly speak on three of these major challenges because these were the ones that stood out the most. So, firstly, I at some point it started when I was about 8 years old. So those that know me know I have a small frame, right? I'm not so big a person or so tall.
Cute.
So
Don't worry.
I'm cute, yes. I'm super cute. So, but back then it was an issue because I was always the smallest in my class, and I
Mm,
was also usually the best in my class.
mm.
So that sort of made me the teacher's favorite and every other
Oh,
person's enemy.
you are the kind of
So
person they
the
didn't used to like in school.
oh my god.
Okay.
So yeah, so I at some point I started to struggle with accepting what people thought about me and who
Mm,
I truly was. Because even though I came, I got the prizes at the prize giving ceremony, I had a great result. But because of my frame and the way people, made it sound as if it was a sickness or a disease, I sort of allowed it get to me. And it sort of began to divert me from what was truly important. So I struggled with a sense of self-worth, a low self-esteem. Let me say low self-esteem. I struggled with a low self-esteem, firstly for my height, then later on because of the kind of environment I grew up in, and thirdly because of when my family had financial constraints. So all of those things began to give me a low self-esteem, and I started feeling so low of myself. And the bad thing about that was that it allowed me focus on what was not working when I had a whole lot working for me. And I think as young people, these are some of the things we focus on. You see, you have a pimple on your face, or you are chubby, and instead of you to focus on the fact that you can sing or you can dance or you're a good artist, instead you're focusing on that pimple on your face or your obesity or the fact that you're too tall or too short. Those things don't really matter. if you look at it in the long run, life is much more larger than the way you see it. And if you begin to narrow your mind to just one little thing, you before you know it, it expands. Someone said that what you focus on expands. So because you begin to focus on it, it begins to expand, and before you know it, you forget every other good thing that exists in your life, and then you feel that your life is just all about that one thing. It's in general, everyone has something that's a weakness. Everyone has something that's a flaw. So if you have a flaw, it means you're normal. It means you're normal, but it took me time to find that out. And I'd also say that I had issues with friendship hurts. Yes, I had issues with friendship, but from a very young age, from the age of about 10, 12, 14, I had issues with keeping friends, especially friends. And that was because I did not want to have the same conversations they were having. They wanted to talk about, who had kissed a boy, or, who had a boyfriend, who is going to this party, who is wearing this dress, who's going shopping with the big boys. And I just wanted to talk about the newest book I was reading. I want to chill with the big boys. Yeah. That was like that.
So
Those
you
are the
were
kind of
not like
conversations
the
we wanted to have.
conventional teenager, like you were not like the usual teenager, that liked all of those. Because I mean, as young people and as teenagers and all that, I was going to say we like to many times I need to remind myself I'm not yeah, but as teenagers like to explore and I think that's another thing, and that's why again it's important that we hammer on mentoring and role modeling and all that, because a typical teenager wants to explore, right?
Yeah.
They want to know what happens when they are inquisitive, right? So it's not the purpose of
Exactly.
guiding them towards what is positive and what is not. So for you, you were kind of lucky enough at a young age to have had that frame of mind to know what is positive, what is not, what you want, what you don't want. But for the average young
Yes.
person, right, that was surrounding you at the time, they probably didn't know. So they must have felt like,
Yes.
oh, discussing boys and doing all of those stuff was just the normal thing to have at teen. So you couldn't have been a normal you
Yes,
couldn't
and
have been a normal
say,
person for them.
I
Like,
wanted to
who is
say
this
that,
one? Why is your life
yeah,
so? What's going on?
I wanted to say that, in fact, most of my mentoring came from the kind of books I read. Because
Mm.
then I started reading, I didn't just, I had this liberty of reading even foreign books by Annie Blyton. And then I also kind of,
Come on now.
yeah, and I also started reading some books that talked about the disadvantages of those kind of lifestyle. And so
Mm.
I saw it, it was just like you read something in a book, and then Auntie XYZ does this thing, and then her life turns out the way the book said it would turn out. Come on, like I saw people with unwanted pregnancy, and it started with them hanging out with boys. So immediately I see any of my friends hanging out with boys, I'm like, oh my god, you
Don't
soon
forget pregnant.
this is gonna
Pregnancy is
happen to
calling on
you.
you.
It's
Pregnancy
calling
is
your name.
attracting you.
It's drawing you by neck. It's dragging your wig. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to do this. And I think I just wanted to say that if you're a young person, it's good to have a sense of exploration, but do it the right way.
Yeah. So the thing,
Yes, do it the right
asking
way.
the
Go.
right questions, open
Yes,
yourself up to the right things, the right opportunities, read the
exactly.
right books, associate
Exactly.
with the right people, right? And I think that's another
Yes.
thing young people need to understand. Nobody is saying you shouldn't associate or network or have friends and all that. Just ensure that you are mingling with the right people. I mean, for somebody that and it's again that example of you cannot be going to Dubai, for instance, right? And
Mm,
you want to jump on a plane with you want to jump on a plane with somebody that is going another direction totally, and it's not even the case of a stopover
honestly,
or anything. There is no stopover in Abu Dhabi. Like you're following them to where, and your destination is like why, and that's why it's
elsewhere.
also again important to be very intentional about the kind of friends that you associate,
Mm-hmm.
kind of people that you surround yourself with. Because
Yeah.
many times at the end of the day, you would be so everyone would have gone their own route at the end of the day, and you'll be the one, whether at a destination that that
Mm-hmm.
you didn't want to get to, or you're caught up in some place that is not, just things that were not your original vision, or your what you really had in mind to achieve in life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I always say for young people, many times when you get in association with anybody, ask yourself, are these people, are they pulling me towards the direction of where I am headed, or they are pulling me away
Exactly.
from where I
Exactly.
want to go to, right? And basic questions like that should help you to, it should guide you on the kind of people to roll with and the kind of people to associate yourself with. So yeah, I get you,
Yeah.
right? So they felt like this one is not a normal person. So how did you get out of that bubble? How did you get out of how did you deal with that having to form friendship with? We're still coming back
Um.
to self-esteem and how you dealt with it, but let's finish this conversation on how you dealt with your having to form friendship.
Okay. Okay. So I started to drift from my female friends because I realized that yes, I started to drift from my female friends, and I found male friends that were good guys, those who respected me
What happened
and
to your fear of
honored
pregnancy?
me. That's why I said, well, this kind of guys were not they were not after the wrong things, and
We're
the
not
way
proud
they
of pregnancy.
at all and the way they respected my boundaries, right? I think I've always been someone that's very strict with boundaries. Right from I was young, I know my don't touch me in this place, don't talk to me in this way. So I've always had boundaries, and when I meet people, guys or ladies that respect my boundaries, I just have a reciprocal respect for them. So when I found that, oh, my female friends might not be getting me, but then these guys understand me. And I think for the longest time, I started to have more male friends in my circle than female friends. But I would say that it happened because I had boundaries. And because I'm someone that's big on affirmations, I think one of my love, am I even supposed to say this here? One of my love languages are words of affirmation. You said what?
Words of affirmation.
Yeah, words of affirmation. I'm very big on it. So these guys would affirm me. They'll say great things about me, even when they're not meeting up. They don't say, "Oh, because you're topping the class and we're not topping the class, let's boo you or say wrong things about you." They were really,
So
really in
they
my
didn't have a problem
circle.
with you shining, right?
No, they
They didn't have a
didn't.
problem with you being your best.
No,
And
they
whether
didn't.
male or female, right? Whether male, so that we don't just streamline it and people don't feel like, oh, you can only find this sort of friendship in guys or in boys.
No,
You,
that's
I
not
mean,
true.
it's a basic rule of don't be in association with somebody that is not comfortable with you shining, or has
Yes.
a problem with you excelling at things, or they are threatened by your success, right? Whether male or female, you don't want to be in a relationship with that kind of person that is not comfortable with you doing well. But I mean, it just
Exactly.
so happened that for you found those kind of relationships.
Yes. In guys at the time, but even now I have those sort of relationships, even with ladies and guys
Mm.
alike. But at that time, I had them more in males. But later, I made new friends. I networked with new people, and I found better friends even amongst females.
I like this. I like how you touched on boundaries, because I find that it's something that many young people don't
Hmm.
know how to draw. Like they don't know how to draw boundaries. They don't know how to make do of boundaries, right? And that's why an average young person would not know the boundaries. And it's in one of the episodes. I think the third episode. Yes, the one with Mrs. Susan Tayo, right? Where she spoke
Hmm.
about turbulent teenagehood and she described all the boundaries and all of those things in relationships, whether male or female, right? People,
Yeah.
you're expected to have boundaries, whether as a young person or as a young adult or anyone. People are expected to have boundaries. Boundaries
Yes.
is how you guard what comes to you and what you repel. It's how you guard
Yes.
what you allow people to do to you, sort of, right, and what you don't allow. So yeah, the place of even when you are friends with somebody of the opposite sex, right, there is that boundary of this is what is acceptable and this is what is not acceptable, which is one thing that I mean from what you shared, we can say,
Yes.
right? So you're able to draw that boundary to say, this is how I want to be spoken to, this is how you
Hmm.
cannot touch me, this is how we cannot relate, you know,
Yes.
clear things, and not just to say that, oh, I don't like that, and you say it after it has happened. I mean, the right thing is to say it ahead of time that we are friends, but this is what is accepted. So that you know that if this person can deal with it, then we can carry on with this friendship. If he cannot deal with it, say the grace and go home.
Exactly. And there was accountability too. My
Okay.
parents knew about my male friends.
Right.
Yes, they knew. So if they see me talking with a guy, they could almost guess this must be X or Y or Z. And then my friends are like,
This just reminded me of the story.
oh, what's
Sorry, not a
that?
story, but this just reminded me of an experience I had when I was young. So I don't know. For some young people that I work with directly, I mean, they know a bit of the kind of person I was growing up. But for some others,
Okay.
so I remember that when I was in my final year in secondary school, SS3,
Mm.
like we call it, right? There was this guy that was
Yeah.
asking me out in
Okay.
school, and I kept saying, "I'm sorry, I cannot have a relationship. Like, what are you even talking? Like the boldness for me." And I'm like, "Hell no, I don't care." And then the week before the week we're going to have exams. Yeah, the week we're going to have exams at the beginning of the week. Some of my friends from his class and then some of them, they just rushed to me and they were like, "Oh, that this person is fainting. He's drowning. There's something wrong with him. Like he has been." And I'm like, "What happened?" They're like, "Because I didn't agree to this."
Wow.
And I told them, I said, "If he's gonna die, anything that wants to happen, but I'm not dating anybody." And then by the third time,
Oh
they were
my
like, "Oh,
God.
you're so mean. You're so." And the honest truth is that when they started saying those things about "you're so mean, what are you feeling like," and all that,
Mm.
initially it got at me because I felt like, okay, are you being too strict? Are you being? Do you understand? Like, are you the one justifying
Yeah.
this? And are you the one being unnecessarily tough and all of that? And it took me aback at first, but I have to say, hey, this is what I have said I will not do. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen. So
I
on the
used to
third
do
day,
it.
which was by Wednesday, they were still on the case. Like, he didn't come to school for like 2 days. And they were
Wow.
like, "It's my fault and
Love
all
is
that."
God.
And we were to have the exams on Friday. So on Wednesday, I said, "Oh, so that somebody's son will not fail examination. Please tell him wherever it is that I've accepted." So that he will come to school and write his exam. The crazy things that young people do. So that he will come to school to write
Honestly.
his exam. That was on Wednesday. So
Okay.
I made sure that I did not see him on Thursday. I didn't see him on Thursday. On
Okay.
Friday, when I think we saw briefly, and he was like, "Oh," and I said, "We're perfect exams today. Let's just write our exams. After exams, we get to talk." So when we wrote the exams on Friday, and we saw, my seeing him was to tell him that, "I'm sorry, we are not dating," or AKA break up with him, right? So yeah, that was the experience. And he went, and at that point, I was like, "You've written your exams, nothing wants to happen." And even at that, I feel like I didn't necessarily have to even accept to make him come to school. Because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, that's still pushing boundaries for me, right? That was one thing
Mm-hmm.
that maybe I could have done better. But guess what? Even after I said, "Oh no, I'm sorry," and all that, and I was very firm on it. We are not having a conversation, any conversation that is not book or anything. We cannot have it after now.
Mm-hmm.
So sometime during the long holiday after school, right? He insisted that he was going to come and he was going to visit. Okay, I think before then he was sending text messages and all of those things, and my phone kept buzzing and buzzing, and my mom was wondering, who is this person sending you messages and calling you up? So when I read the messages, and of course you can imagine the kind of messages he was
Person.
sending me, the butterfly in my cupboard, the something something. And I've always been an open book, right? Especially with my parents. I
Mm-hmm.
let them know what is going on. And I think that's another thing he said with accountability,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I sent a message. Sorry, he sent me those messages, and then I showed the messages to my mom. I
Okay.
showed all of the messages to her, and I was like, "This person is asking me out. Of course, I'm not going to say yes, but I just wanted to know what's going on." And my mom was going to go off. It was my sister that calmed her down that, "Mommy, I think she's showing you these things and talking to you about it. I think you should calm down and, sort of guide
Mm-hmm.
her with this process instead of going up and all that." And she said, "Okay, that of course I know that." I said, I know I cannot, I know I can't do it, right? I know that, and that's why I'm also showing it to you. Do you know this guy? I invited him to our house the following week, and I made sure my
Very
parents
good.
were at home. I made sure they were at home. I made sure I think it was on a Saturday. And when he came and he sat, I called my parents and I told them to sleep. And I told him, I said, this is my dad, this is my mom. I bought him a bottle of Coke. Of course, he didn't spend 30 minutes. That was the last time.
Honestly.
So I think it's the thing.
Honestly.
I think it's the thing with accountability again. Be open, like
Mm,
anything, any shady deal you have to do in the dark or you don't want people to know about it. Already there is something wrong with your
something
life.
about it.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I think that's also very important. Accountability. Yeah. So how did that play out for you? How did you? I mean, I know I'm giving the long gist about my own escapades as a young person, but how did that play out for you?
Yeah, I had funny episodes too, but I'll quickly just briefly say that there was a time a guy came to my house. So
What
like
is it? And I think this is one very common thing for young people. It's always this boy and girl. In fact, we're going to have that conversation very soon. Please
honestly,
go ahead.
yeah, we should have that conversation. And this guy, I knew he had a crush on me in class, but of course I was this serious girl, so I wasn't giving anybody any face until I was at least 23.
What?
So yeah, that was my plan. My plan wasn't to give anybody any serious face until I was at least 23. Anyway, that didn't happen anyways, but at least that was my mind back then. And this guy came to my house. I didn't know he came to see me because I had a neighbor who also went to the same school as I did. So I wasn't expecting that he came to see me. I felt he came to see other guy. And so when he came, I was like, oh, hi, you came around, you came to see your friend. Hi, I just say hi. And I just, went about my business. So I didn't see the guy again. The next day, my mom just called me and sat me down and started giving me this motherly advice. And I'm like, okay, what did I do? I don't understand. And then she's like, okay. She's like, she trusts me. She knows I've been very open, but something happened yesterday. This guy came around. Do I know him? I said, yes, I know him. He's my classmate. He's also classmates with this other person. We are all in the same class. And he came to see his friend. My mom said, did he come to see his friend or he came to see you? I said, someone that I did not even sit to talk to. I just said hello and passed. So he didn't come to see me. If he came to see me, he would have come to our house and you would have seen him. And my mom's like, okay, so my neighbor's mom called her and told her that that guy was my boyfriend and that both of us were having neck deep conversations and we were professing love. And I was like, where? How? What? Like, where did it happen? When? I that was so soaked in chores, I didn't even remember that I had a classmate around that particular day. And my mom was like, well, even if I was going to do trash, she knew that I wouldn't have done something like, but even if I was going to, she didn't believe I would do that, right there where my parents are, because she didn't know me with that. So she just, discarded it that whatever that guy must have done, it was definitely something bad, but he probably, my neighbor's mom or my neighbor, somebody is trying to rope me into it.
Because and you see,
Now,
the reason why your mom could say that was a place of trust. So you've
yes.
proven over time that you're not that kind of child.
Yeah,
So
my phone is
what
not
you do.
passworded. Everybody knows who is calling me. Like, I don't run to a place to go and receive calls
You
from
run to corners.
somebody. I don't run to corners.
You don't
And so
hug walls.
no, I don't. So it was really amazing because a month after, that same neighbor told their son that must never see them with that boy. So up till today, I don't even know what happened. But whatever it was, I'm sure they tried to rope me, but it didn't work. So accountability is such a big deal because you don't know who is speaking for you, who is trying to learn about you, who's wanting to give you opportunity. There have been opportunities I've gotten just because somebody said something about me somewhere, and they're like, this person cannot do this. Like somebody has deposited a huge lump sum of money with me, and I don't know the person from anywhere. And when I'm asking, how did you have the heart to do this? And he tells me somebody I knew 5 years ago told him. I'm like, how? And I didn't even know he had a relationship with that person. So I think when you're open, it will really help. I think accountability is something you should build from your teenage years. You
Okay.
build it from your
So,
teenagers, you being
so
open.
Jemima,
Yeah.
you've spoken about self-esteem. You've spoken about, forming friendships, and we've even taken a delve into, also relationships, right? And how it is really not a thing to. I mean, I don't usually when young people come to me and it's a one-on-one thing, and we want to talk about, the romantic relationships and all of that. I'm always more, I don't tell you this is what you should do and this is what you should. I lay the cards on the table for you, and we look at it together to say, is it really necessary? So I like how we've taken a delve into forming friendships and then taking that curve into romantic relationships. Were there other challenges, right, that you faced aside? Okay, so before we even go into other challenges that you faced, how did you deal with, the issue of the self-esteem and, your body image, how you felt about yourself and all of those things? How did you deal with that?
Okay. As at then, I wasn't so schooled, or let me say, I don't have the kind of knowledge I have now as I had then. But back then, one of the things that helped me escape was reading. So, firstly, I read lots of books. Like I said, I've always been a good reader. And so, whenever I have a problem, I'm just looking for a book that talks about that problem already.
Great.
Yeah. Yes. So, I found books that talked about self-worth, right? Yes, I found books that talked about self-worth, and I started to read them, and I realized that it wasn't about the way I thought about myself and feelings. The issue of self-esteem is that it's actually the way you feel about yourself, because your true self-worth is a constant thing. It's just like just a $100 note or a 1,000 naira note. It's always a 1,000 naira note. Either it's rumpled or it's new from central bank. It's a 1,000 naira note. If someone squeezes it, it doesn't change the value. It just changes the shape. So that's how it works. Your self-worth is a constant thing. You're always invaluable. You are priceless. But sometimes you don't feel that way, and it could be as a result of anything. So I learned how to rise above my feelings. Then I also I learned how to do the things that truly defined me and gave me a sense of fulfillment. Then like I said before, I'm big on words of affirmations. And so I started to listen more to people who affirm me. And I also learned to affirm myself. I tell myself I am beautiful, I am special, I am radical, I am extraordinary. In front of my wardrobe right now, there is a word of affirmation that says, I am extraordinary. That's the word I'm working with for this month. That no, I am extraordinary. I'm that extra factor. So it's always been a big deal for me. Words of affirmations too. And also I ran away from negativity. Let me use, should I say ran or flew? Or I'm trying to look for a radical word. Immediately someone is trying to say something that's not going to help my self-esteem, I run from that person. I legit put a wall between me and that person, because I realized that your mental health is your responsibility. Yeah, your mental health is your responsibility. It's just like what you were saying the other time. Like, I wanted to say that who you follow, who you listen to is actually your responsibility. You can choose to sit there and listen to people tell you lies about yourself, or you can choose to run away and not listen to them. Instead of you listening to somebody tell you trash about you, and then you start crying, and they're like, oh no, they said I'm ugly. They said my face is not pretty because I have acne, or I have pimples, or I'm too small, I'm too short, I'm too fat. Then you're crying. I wish I was slim like this person. And then you start doing hurtful things to yourself. How about people that tell you you're special, or you telling your
Okay, so Jemima, there was something that you mentioned. When we started off, and you were like speaking to self-esteem now, that many times people focus on, things that are not working for them, the things they are yet to achieve and all that, and they take their eyes off the things that are going well and the things that they've achieved and all of those things, right? And you also mentioned how that, everybody has flaws. And I think that's another thing that we need to clarify to an extent, to say that, yes, having flaws means you're human, but it doesn't also mean that you should stay there. I think it is to that. the Pastor Iren, right? I said it in the interview that many times it's okay when you discover flaws about yourself and all of that, but don't stay there. So focus on the things that you can fix. Focus work on the things that you can work on, but don't make a permanent decision on things that you can work on and then let them define you and all that when you can improve from them and move away from that place, right? And for the things that you know that you
Yes.
really cannot do anything about, things like your eye, things like what else, your complexion and all
Your
of those things.
complexion, yeah.
Do you understand that it's not necessarily under your jurisdiction? Because having to maybe tone, for instance, and all of that is going way out of line to what. Do you understand? So God that has created you with a complexion or with a certain height, or things that you can really not do anything about, right? Of course, he knew what he was doing. So those kind of
Yeah.
things should not impact on how you feel about yourself. My dad used to say something when I was very young. So I used to feel like I used to feel like I was on this also on the small size and very short and all that. And he told me until tomorrow it rings in my ears. Anybody shorter than you is too short. Anybody taller than you is too tall.
Wow,
Do
that's
you
great.
understand? And he told me, he said you are the perfect height for the purpose that God has for you. Right? And I know some people might want to say, oh,
Need to
maybe he
clap
was
for
trying
daddy here.
like some people might want to say that, oh, maybe he was trying to gas me up or he was trying to make me feel good and all of that. But the honest truth is that it worked. Because as a young person, right, and with the way that, as if, for a young girl, your dad is your hero and everything and all of that. Coming from him, that was everything for me. There was nothing anybody could tell me about my height. I am the perfect height. In fact, it was no longer an issue. Do you
Very
understand?
perfect.
So imagine that I had been wallowing in self-pity and saying, oh, why am I this height? Instead, I took advantage of that height, right? I took advantage of the height to just, so whatever may be my height, what do I want to do with the height? Last, as if I plan to go for modeling or anything. And even if I want to go for modeling, there's modeling for petite people, right? So I just took advantage of it and I explored the other areas that I was good in. And I think that's another thing. Don't focus on your
Yeah.
flaws. Sorry, don't focus on the things you've not achieved. Work on your flaws, become a better person. But the things that
Yeah.
they are sort of indelible and you cannot do anything about, why not focus on the things that are working, right?
Yeah.
Focus on, maybe achievements and all that, even though when they take away the achievements and everything, your self-esteem should still be standing. It's yourself, but it's how you feel about yourself, about the kind of person you've been created to be, right? I just wanted to quickly
Yeah.
put that in there, as regards to what you said initially, so that somebody doesn't feel like, oh, I have flaws, it's just because I'm human and all of that, and take me as I am. Nobody is taking
No.
it's not a case of taking as I am. If you can work on it, if there's something you can do within your capacity that you can do about it, then don't stay that way. By all means, improve. Im- Do that work towards becoming a better person. But for the things that you cannot do anything about, get comfortable with it. Get comfortable and make the most out of it.
Exactly.
Make the most out of it. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
that's what makes you unique.
Mm, mm. That's what makes you unique, exactly. So, yeah. Is there any other thing that you want? I know that, and there's been so many lessons from the things that you shared, from accountability to knowing what works for you, to placing a value on yourself and understanding your self-worth, and just all of those many lessons, right? But if there was one final word, that you want to, say, or if there was one final thing that you want to say to young people as to how to move past challenges, maybe current challenges that they are facing now, right? And look towards that future, that person that is in the future, and how to get on that journey, what would you say?
I'd like to say that life has challenges, whether you are a teenager or an adult. So if you're experiencing challenges, even as a teenager, it's something that's normal and it's something that's going to happen throughout life. So one thing I want you to do is I want you to be beautiful all through, right? As the challenges come at you, whether you are able to, scale through with hurt or scale through without hurt, come out of every challenge as a beautiful person. Because whether you understand it now or not, every of these experiences have come to shape you into a better person. Second thing I'd like you to know is that you are amazing just the way you are, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your complexion, your height, or whatever it is. You are amazing just the way you are. And you are one unique person out of over 7 billion people. There's no other you in this world. And that in itself is mind blowing. Sometimes you just look at the mirror and tell yourself, wow, I am so amazing. There is no other me in this world. Wow, like just wow on your matter. Just say
Wow,
wow.
yeah.
Exactly. And lastly, I'd like to say that sometimes as a teenager, there's some things you won't get right.
Mm.
And when that happens, don't beat yourself up, right? Yes, feel bad about it. I won't say you shouldn't feel bad when you do something wrong. Please feel bad about it. That's why it's called remorse or repentance. So feel bad about it, but don't stay stuck in that feeling. Evaluate the situation. What could I have done better? How could I have done things differently? And how can I still become better irrespective of what has happened? And then move on with your life. Move on. Step out of your small spaces, especially those of you that, grew up in areas where you don't really have so much opportunities. Step out. Nobody will come and give you gold inside the mud, though. You have to come out of the mud,
But
clean yourself up, clean yourself up, and then you would be given the gold. So and that's what I'm going to say. I'm also going to say that you should trust God all through the process, because God is really the one that can hold your hand through it all.
thank
Yes,
you
thank
so much,
you.
Jemima. It's been so great hanging out with you. And two things that I also want to say for young people that feel like, oh, they are going through challenges and all of that. Even without, going through challenges, I think it's just, sorry, three things actually. I think it will greatly impact on, your growing up at that phase, every phase of the person's life. And the first thing you mentioned in the course of talking, personal growth, personal development, right? Invest
Mhm.
in books, invest in materials, resources that will grow your mind, right? That will grow your mind and elevate your mindset, right? That's the first thing. And the
Yeah.
second thing I want to say is surround yourself with mentors. Surround yourself with people that can guide you on your journey. People that on days where you don't have answers or you can't understand what's going on with you, you can speak to those people and you are sure of the right counsel, right? You want to surround yourself with those kind of people. And lastly, focus on the goal. Focus on that picture that you're seeing in your mind, that person that you're seeing in your mind's eye. Focus on that person, right? And give it whatever it takes to make sure that you come out right on the other side, right? That is what I'll say. So thank you so very much, guys, for joining us this week on conversations with Coach IT, and I hope that you've learned a thing or two. Please send in your questions. Please subscribe, right? So that you can get notifications of new videos and new podcast episodes. And also invite your friends to, listen to these episodes. Drop your comments. Let's know that you're interacting and that you gain a thing or two. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Jemima, for joining us on this episode. It was lovely having you around. And until we come your way again next week, please have an amazing week ahead. God bless you. Bye.